So what can be done to not unbridle anybody's thoughts, passions, but also put them in a realistic picture? So, do you have cash? There's so many people do this and do this and do this, and no matter what people do, there's always one thing, or two things, or 30 things. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't see that on our target market. Now we have to spend this big money to get to the next level, and we don't have it. If we don't have it, then we're going to go out of business, or we do have it. You can get it, but that's going to put, now we have to pay it back. It's going to put a real challenge into our cash flow. So those are really big pitfalls in overestimating sales and underestimating capital needs, being undercapitalized. So what do people do to prevent themselves from getting into those pitfalls?
One of the very first things that you should do is a cash flow analysis. Now, obviously, you're not in business yet, therefore the numbers are kind of made up. But it does give you, if you use a correct template for doing that, insurance, workers' comp, salaries, taxes, all the different categories of things that you're going to have to do in order to run your business, which is what hardly anybody thinks about.
Okay.
I think that's where you're going.
Yeah, and so for example, for a lot of people may not realize what cash flow is. Could you describe what cash flow means, please?
Cash flow, first off, cash is king.
It definitely is.
Bottom line, cash is king to your business. Accounts receivable, money that you're owed, you can't pay people with that. Accounts receivable that don't come in, those are write-offs, but if you're a small business, you can't do that for too long because the people that are providing you with the goods and services you need to do what you're doing, they would like to get paid also. So as you're doing the cash flow analysis, we at SCORE do have a very good template for that to help folks understand what all the different levels of monies are going to be required just to run the business. And then looking at the levels of money that are coming in, I'll give you a good case in point. A lady that I'm counseling right now is opening up a massage business north of here. And I simply asked her, well, how many people do you have to see before you break even? She hadn't even thought about that. I said, well, I don't know. Well, you're charging what, $60 an hour? So $60 an hour times how many folks equals what it does so that you can make money at your business. I hadn't thought of that. So, well, what's your rent? We literally just went straight down the sheet, filled everything in. She figured out that she needed to see 36 people before she made any money. Okay, so that's her goal, 4 people a day, 5 days a week.
And that's fantastic. Now, the thing is, when you have your own business, though, when you're employed, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, the 15th and 30th, and okay, so my rent or my mortgage can come out of this check, and I'm going to take this electric bill and this out of this check. However, when you own your own business, the bills come in, but you're not exactly sure how the money's going to flow in. It's not the way you'd like it. It's not real steady. How do people guard against themselves from misspending their money? Because sometimes it's very easy. Well, I'm going to get this thing happening tomorrow. I'm going to spend this money today. I'm going to pay the electric bill today. And then tomorrow I'm going to have this other money come in, and I'm going to pay this other bill with that money. Well, what happens? I pay the electric bill today, and this other money doesn't come in, and then I have this other bill that needs to be paid.
What most folks will do for that is the business will form what's called a line of credit. Line of credit is a floating amount of cash that you get from either the bank that originally loaned you your startup capital or another one. I would suggest keeping it at the same one because they have a very vested interest in seeing you succeed. And you would use that line of credit to take care of seasonality or cash flow ebbs and flows within your business. Most businesses that are in the retail sector, they make about 50% of their entire annual income in the months of November, December. This year is going to be a little different. But when they don't have the cash flow coming in, they're in the April, June, July time frames. That's when they'll go and use this to get the bills paid and then hedge that against future income.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, a lot of people have operated whatever business they're in or whatever service business they're in based on seasonality. So people say, okay, January and February is slow, so we'll take the knock on that for a couple months. And then when spring comes, then we'll make up the money we lost or didn't make and pay ourselves back. We borrow money from ourselves or pay back whatever it is. However, sometimes when spring comes or the season comes along, the business doesn't come with it. So, for example, if someone's in the restaurant business, a lot of times the money made is Friday and Saturday nights.
That's correct.
Now, what happens if I own a restaurant? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, maybe I made a little money, maybe I lost a little money, maybe I broke even. So Friday night comes along, it snows. It's happened. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Getting
Sat-
ready to happen again.
Saturday, it snowed again. Okay, so now I didn't make any money, probably lost money this week. And what happens if it happens the next week and the next week and the next week? What happens if the electric goes out? That never happens here, or maybe it did back in September. So all these things that can happen, that can impact our business. What I'm bringing up is sometimes, though, it seems that every day has to be a good day. And not, okay, we make our money during the weekends. We make our money during the winter. We make our money during the spring or the summer, and we're still operating on a full-time basis. Because if there's a blip or if there's a gap or something happens where that weekend doesn't make any money or that season comes and goes, the business doesn't come with it, as I just said, then people could be out of business. So how do people guard against themselves in terms of not being too conservative, but at the same time not being so liberal that they put themselves out of business? The economy is a lot different. A lot of times people say, I know this is a better deal for me, but I don't want to take it right now. I got to think about it, because if I miss something there and this better deal isn't the better deal, I can't go back and fix it because I'm not sure the money's going to come in. Everybody's walking around like they have one bullet. And so what's happening, decision-making processes, in my opinion, are a lot slower these days. People are a lot more cautious. But what level of cautiousness do we end, and what level of being liberal or being risk-taking begin? Well, the balance has to be a lot different than what it used to be.
Well, what folks used to tell you is always have 6 months worth of monthly income in a savings account somewhere. Most folks can't do that today.
Okay.
If you can, or if you have the luxury of having that money saved back, obviously you would use that when you had a downtime or when you had a lull in your business. The way things are going these days, and the compliments of the way that people are even having to buy their raw materials to get into businesses, it's very difficult to keep any type of cash flow going in there if you hit a real huge bump in the road. That's why you're seeing a lot of businesses right now close.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. So how do you come about saying maybe a business should even have a year in starting a business, just as someone who's starting a job, starting a career? What they do to be conserved, still enjoy life, but still be conserved, still grow their career, and still save money. So in case something happens, they have a year's worth or 6 months worth of money in the bank, cash, or maybe even 2 years. Because some people at some levels, it takes them a year to 18 months to get a new job.
Very much so.
And so say, okay, well, while you're getting a new job, maybe start a business. A lot of people I know have these little consulting firms while they're looking and say, well, I'm doing a consulting thing now, I'm doing part-time here, but it's really frustrating because I'm really looking for a job. And to look for a job is a full-time job.
Yes, it is.
And I'm also doing this consulting business to make ends meet, but that's a full-time job too. So I have 2 full-time jobs, but I have 2 40-hour jobs, but realistically I can only talk to people 40 to 60 hours a week. So I have 20 hours where it's lost. So I'm not doing maybe as well as I could be in either one of them, but I need the money to get by. So I'm doing consulting. I can't afford to go without it. So I'm out of balance.
When folks get into that type of a difficulty, that's when you have to start making choices. And there will be folks that no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to come out in the positive with what it is they're doing, with the amount of hours that they're putting in. So you've got to make a choice. Do you spend the time doing the job finding, to use your example that you have, or do you try to just go to work for a while, get a job anywhere, doing anything so that you can bring in some money, no matter what it is, while you're sitting here looking for another position? A lot of folks that I know that are retired executives, or they used to work up on the General Motors lines or out here at the Ford plant, and now they're out of work. They're not used to going out there and having to talk to folks and just take basically anything they can find just in order to bring in cash. But unfortunately, that's what they're going to have to do.
It happens. Tom Willing, thank you very much, SCORE counselor. Thank you
welcome.
again for coming in. Anthony Amico, you've been watching the Tri-State Report. I hope it was beneficial to you. And take care of your neighbors and everybody else in your life. Thanks.